Hello, and welcome to The Gray Area, where I give interviews with developers, talk about gaming news and reviews, and focus on the interrelationships between gamers. My name is Genesee Gray, and this is the 92nd episode in a weekly series called To the Moon. Here with me is Kan Gao, game designer and composer from Freebird Games. Welcome.
Hi there, it's an honor to be here.
Very excited to have you on the show, thanks. Last week's episode was a discussion with Kevin Forbes, programmer and designer at Clay Entertainment for Don't Starve. Please visit www.genesee.com to add to the forum discussion on that topic and to tell me your story. Today is Tuesday, January 29th, and we are going to talk about To the Moon, game design, and learn all about Ken. So, what is your news of the week? What are you up to lately?
I've actually been working on some of the promotional. Oh, this is really strange. I got the podcast here and I can hear myself.
On
Okay.
Twitch, yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of a noob at this. My
That's
bad.
okay. Just make sure you're muting Twitch.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm working on some promotional stuff for the new game, which is called A Bird Story, and also just the usual production stuff.
Okay. So we will definitely talk about that as we get further in. Curious about that. But first questions, let's start at the beginning. So as a child, did you play video games, and what were some of your favorites?
Yeah, let's see. I grew up in China actually, so the games I played were a lot of the Chinese old school games and RPGs and the like.
Okay.
But I think one of my first games was like Diablo 1.
Ooh, good start.
That was fun. Yeah, and yeah, I remember back then there's no cheat codes, so you actually have to drop the code at the exact moment to double it or something. Yeah,
Yes.
that actually felt like a metagame itself. But yeah, and I played some Chinese RPGs, a bunch of them, I think. But yeah, aside from that, let's see, Age of Empires and the like as well. It's kind of odd because aside from it seems like my volume is a lot louder. Should I tweak it
will
or?
adjust it for you. Hang on.
Okay.
His volume is very loud.
Thanks, Rabbit.
Mine is not. Rabbit will tell you. Okay, how about that?
Okay,
Does
sure.
that sound better? Twitch channel? Is that balanced?
How's
more?
this? Testing.
What do you think, guys? Is that better? They're on a 10-second delay, so you have to give them a moment or a few
Okay.
seconds delay.
It's like we're in space.
Now only 3 times louder. Okay, well, there we go. All right, good. All right.
Okay.
Now, China, if I recall correctly, there's several restrictions on gaming and certain things that you can see. Did you notice that as a child? Is that so?
Not really. I
Like, I
mean,
recall World of Warcraft having issues with Lich King and certain things involving like.
oh
this.
yeah, I think yeah. I didn't follow up on that quite a lot, but I don't think it was actually that bad when I was there.
Okay.
I thought the Leech King stuff was mostly a matter of legal complications or whatnot.
I'm not sure. I thought it might have been content, but I could definitely be wrong. I thought that might be interesting change, but you're playing Diablo, so pretty similar childhoods to most of us, I would think. Okay, so then did you learn English when you came here? Or did you learn that as a
Yeah.
child?
Yeah, I learned English when I came here. I actually learned it through reading Animorph books, pretty much.
Did you
Which-
write a lot of the dialogue? Because it's amazingly funny and very colloquial. Like, a lot of the sayings are you would think someone was born here, so I wondered, like, if that was your
Oh,
second
well,
language.
Thanks, I'm glad you liked it. I did write the dialogues myself, often well past bedtime, which is why. But
Okay.
yeah,
So what was that like when you first came here, and how old were you?
I was in just past grade school, so I think 11.
Okay.
I was actually that was in 2000, around April of 2000.
We're not going to talk about your age. So, what was the inspiration for becoming a game designer? It seems like at that young age, did you have that idea already, or is it something that you came upon later on?
To be honest, no, I didn't actually have that as a goal. But I always like to create things, I suppose. Especially stories and scenarios and the like. So eventually, one way or another, that was where I ended up at. Oh, and I think someone asked what I studied. I actually studied business and computer science.
Oh.
So in a sense, it's kind of both. Not like I didn't study game development, but both are kind of just touching it. So it didn't go to waste, I think.
Yeah, I think computer science would be awfully useful if you're a game designer.
Yeah.
Definitely. So how did music get involved in your life? Was it as a child?
Yeah, I when I was a kid, well, I mean, I didn't start composing until I actually started making games, actually. But when I was a kid, I played recorders and stuff, and I used to, chart out the like we. I'm not sure if people use it here, but back when I was in China in grade school, we used to write sheet music as 1, 2, 3, 4 as numbers. So 1 is like do, 2 is re, etc.
Oh, okay.
So I used to chart out, the songs from TV shows and stuff, and just pass it out to the class. So that was actually like one of my earliest experiences. It was actually pretty fun too. And then, yeah,
Carry
go ahead.
on. No, please tell me more.
Oh, yeah. So when I came to Canada, I had an interesting phase where that was when Pokemon was wild, So and I was at the time I was like the only kid in the entire school who was Asian, which nowadays it's just like we're everywhere. But back then I was like a panda to the folks, so they were treating me really nice. And I remember basically playing like playing recorder for Pokemon cards, kind of like a street performer on the actual
Like you're paid
school.
in Pokemon cards?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
And that was like the most fun thing ever. But I think that was just because I was kind of a panda back then. Nowadays, it's like you go around playing recorder, asking for Pokemon cards. They're just like, well, why are you robbing me?
if
But
they
that was
have
fun. Yeah, good times.
It's kind of interesting that you would have the music written out in numbers like that. I wonder if that had. I mean, music is very mathematical, and that would probably tie into the computer sciences as well, I would think. But composing is one of those things that I feel like you have to learn kind of young as a child, or it really bites you later. Like I know myself, I've had that issue where if you don't learn it young and then you try to play as you're older, it's something very difficult to pick up. So do you think like that method helped you at all? Because you said you really didn't get into music like playing until you started designing games.
Sort of. I mean, I think I was fortunate enough to always kind of kept a side of music going in one way or another. But I started playing piano and composing pretty late into my years. I think. Well, I'm sounding like an old man, but but just like late high school, start of college, etc. But in a way, I almost think that it's actually a good idea for me to not start when I was that young to take piano lessons and stuff like that, because it almost feels like if that were to have happened, I would have felt like it was more of a chore. It's like homework to practice piano and whatnot. Whereas this one, I mean, this way I pretty much just did it whenever I wanted to, and it was more like it was fun, and I always looked forward to it as opposed to dread it.
So take me from the transition into game design and how you ended up choosing that as something.
Sorry, pardon?
How did you end up deciding you wanted to make a game?
Oh, well, I was actually, it was a dark and stormy night, and I was working on my emo teenage novel, quote unquote. And
Were you seriously working on an emo novel?
yes, it was very emo. Actually, it's you can find that game actually turning. I mean, that story actually turning into a game. I'm still kind of working through it. It's called Quintessence. It's on my Freebird Games website.
Was that your second game or the first
That
one?
was the first one.
The first
That
one.
was actually what got me started into making games. So, yeah, that was actually what started getting me to making games.
And you just said, I don't want to write this. I need to see it visually. Like, what was the inspiration to change it from a book?
I just like to be able to walk around in the world I kind of envision. I think that in and of itself is just such a cool thing to me for some reason.
So how did you go about learning, like, the methodology of making a game?
I don't know. It was kind of like a drunken fist. I'm just
You're just like, I will learn to code right now.
actually I used a very notorious game engine, and I still use it now. It's RPG Maker.
Okay.
And so with that, while like there's still full programming capabilities, but you don't have to know like the actual language to start. There's still there's still programming logic involved, but as far as the syntax go, it saves a lot of work.
Were you making your own art and at the time?
At the time when I was getting started,
Yes.
no, definitely not. It was it was a combination between like some of the graphics that came with the engine and folks who were helping me out with trading. There was kind of a bartering system going on where I would kind of work on some music for some folks, and they would work on some of the art for me. So that was kind of a fun system.
Okay.
And uh, thanks, Zinteka. That means a lot to me.
Yes, the chat is quite active. They have questions for you, which we will ask at the end. So save up your questions, and
Oh,
there'll be a section
okay.
at the end for that. So, did you then go to college for that, or how did you? What did you study? You said you studied computer sciences. Was that in college? Like you did?
Yeah, that was in college. I think I also took a programming course around I think the last year of high school. So that
Okay.
kind of segued me into it.
So at the same time as you're studying this as your major, you are also making a game?
Yeah, I was making a free games on freebirdgames.com, and actually it just started as just Quintessence, and the URL was just like Quintessence slash the game name.com. But then as I started making more games, I guess I should have put it in a folder somewhere. So that's when Freebird Games started.
What was the reception to your first game? Is it something that a lot of people played, or mostly just like local friends?
It was it was something that, well, like there was a community, I suppose, of folks who were also making games. So essentially the players and the developers were, it was like a small village of developers who played each other's games. And yep, that was the RPG Maker community. I think that was rmrk.net.
Okay. It seems to me in my research that you founded Freebird about the time that To the Moon was maybe just finished. Is that so? And why the choice to make an official company at that point?
Not, well, let's see. I like the Freebird Games label kind of started after a while. After I made my second or third game, I think.
Okay.
So that was I think a couple of years before To the Moon was finished, but it wasn't exactly officialized in a sense, I guess, until To the Moon was released, because that's when all the actual legal stuff and the blah blah stuff that I had to do. But yeah, as for the Freebird Games, it's the label itself. It was existent, a while back.
What is the interest in birds? They are kind of everywhere in your work.
Actually, yeah. Now that you mention it, I suppose
Oh, yes.
there's yeah. I don't know. It's just a nice concept to be able to fly freely. I don't know. I just like the fact that they fly, I suppose.
Nice. So, when you're officially independent, which are you now officially? I believe since To the Moon's been out, I went to your MagFest panel, so I have some of the answers to these. But are you considered like officially independent, or are you still working full time somewhere else and doing this as well?
Well, yeah. In that sense, I guess I am officially independent. Yeah, I'm just really fortunate and grateful that I'm able to do this full time for the time being. And yeah.
I think you're very well loved. It's as an indie
Ah,
game developer, maybe it's not something that everyone on the street knows, but the people that do follow the games are very loyal, and it seems very touched by it. So I'm not surprised. And
well, thank you. I'm